Hey everyone, Ben here, and today I'm on a bit of a mission. It's Bathurst and the GT3 fixed, a tough combination made harder by the fact that I've messed up qualifying. So I'm going to be starting in 9th position, slap bang in the middle of a 19 car grid. And despite the dangers of the circuit, I've decided I'm going to push, get my elbows out in the race to make up as many places as I can. Let's see if I can do it. Okay then, we're waiting for the green lights as we come through the final corner, and there we go, we are underway, and already our job has just got a little bit harder as Farishon has got around our outside in the BMW. That means then we're going to be down into 10th position, but you can see Kasarauskas up ahead has had a difficult T1. He's lost a place to Farishon as well. Can I capitalise on that? I'm tucked right into his slipstream as we come bombing down the first straight of the lap before we start the climb up the mountain for the first time. But I've got to be a bit careful behind as well. I've got Jackson in my rear view mirror thinking about a move down the right hand side as I'm a little bit tentative on cold tyres and cold brakes through that opening corner. And then we're coming up to the cutting. Oh, look at that. The guy up ahead's very, very slow. We just spot our opportunity down the inside of the cutting, and we're up into 9th position again. A really opportunistic pass there. There was just room for a Ferrari to slip through the inside there. Kasarauskas left the gap, and as I said at the beginning of this race, we are going to be pushing today. We're going to be a bit more aggressive, and so I decided to go for it down the inside, not get stuck behind him on this opening lap. And you can see we are closing the gap just slightly to Fernandez, but I am taking it nice and easy here through the dip out for the first time. You can see we've already extended the gap to Kasarauskas in 10th to over a second. So it's eyes forward. Can we make up more positions here in the early stages of this race? I don't want to lose touch with the top 5 if I can avoid it. Let's take a look at that pass once again then, down the inside of the Lamborghini. Gotta be brave. Thankfully he gave me room. He could have turned in on me there, but he noticed that he'd left the door open and that I'd slotted my Ferrari down the inside. There's a tiny bit of contact, but actually it's really great racing and I'm very happy with that overtake. One more time then from my onboard, you can see the gap just opened up, and thankfully he didn't shut the door mid-corner. On to lap 2 then, and we're still tucked nicely underneath the rear wing of Fernandez. I'm giving myself just a little bit of space to the cars up ahead, but I'm ready to pounce if anybody makes a mistake. The gap just around half a second here as we're coming up the mountain once again, and you can see Fernandez is up underneath the rear wing of Rhodes, so I've got to be a little bit careful here just in case they come together. We're coming through Skyline then on, look at that, Fernandez clips a curb. We've got to be brave again. We kept our foot planted. I knew he was going to be rejoining, but thankfully he didn't rejoin straight into us. Here it is on replay. Brilliant car control from Fernandez, to be fair, but I knew my opportunity was there. I kept my foot in, even though there was a risk, to be honest, that he was going to come careering back on track. On to lap 3 then, and we've already closed right in on Rhodes in the BMW up ahead, and I'm going to be nicely in his slipstream here. Providing he doesn't cover off the inside nice and early, I'm going to have a very good chance into T2 to get up alongside him and hopefully make up the position into 7th place. And that's exactly what it looks like it's going to be. Who can be on the brakes later? Can I keep the car nice and tight to the inside? Yes, I can. He doesn't make it too difficult in the end, and we're up into 7th position. Let's take a look at that one on replay as well. I've shaped nice and early to show him my intentions. He could have cut me off. Probably not now. I've got about a tyre alongside his, and at that point the move is pretty well done, providing I can keep my car under control. Very difficult for him to run this around the outside. In the end, I've got the high ground and I take the position. We resume the live action just a little bit later on lap 3, and as you can see, my pace here is pretty good relative to the cars around me. We're already up into 7th, and I've closed right onto the rear wing of 6th place man Peter Adrian as we're coming into the final couple of corners of this lap. I'm not going to have an opportunity, I think, before the end of this lap to make the pass, but I'm going to be very nicely positioned for lap 4 to try and make up another spot. Here we go then, into the final corner, a slower corner than I expect. Almost every lap I nearly get on the brakes too late and run it out wide. I always imagine you can carry more speed through there than you can, and the same applies for this T1 as well. Very easy to run it out wide, and actually, although we're up on our delta, Adrian has had a better run through T1 there, and that might mean that I've got to be a bit more patient here. I'm not going to be able to repeat the move that I made on roads the lap before. I'm just a couple of car lengths further back here. Yes, we're closing in, but it's not going to be enough into T2 here. I'm going to have to follow him through, and probably follow him through all the way up the mountain here. There's not many opportunities to pass. Oh, he scraped the wall there on the outside. We're down onto the brakes into the cutting, but you can see I'm just not close enough to make a move, so I've got to put the pressure on here, try and force a mistake. As Adrian's coming through the right-hander, oh, he has clipped the wall, and the other wall. Here we go then. Can I be brave again on the outside? Keep my foot in, but keep it out of the wall. Yes, I can, and there's the move done. Wow, I didn't expect that to come quite so early in this lap, but he hits two walls, and then I've got a lot of work to do here, and look at how close I am to the grass verge and the wall. That could have ended badly, but I'm sticking true to my word of being aggressive in this race, and Rhodes was able to follow through on Adrian as well. While this battling was going on, there was another ferocious battle further up the road for the podium. We're watching McGregor in the pink Audi defending from Kirby, and then we've also got another driver just behind them in close attention. This is giving me a chance to close in on this leading pack. The top two drivers look like they're going to be just too far away for me to be able to get back in contention, but as long as these guys continue to scrap, then I'm not losing too much time getting through the traffic myself. So I've got half a chance here of getting up into the top 5. We resume the live action on lap 7. I've had a nice clean consistent set of laps, and as we're coming through onto the top of the mountain, I get the call from my spotter that we've got a driver off onto the sand. That's McGregor, so I am going to be up into 5th place. What on earth has happened there then? McGregor has dropped back from that battle that he was in with some of the leading cars, and then he makes a big mistake coming through the left-hander there, loses the rear end of the car, and actually that is a much bigger accident than I first imagined it was as I passed him on the outside of the track. Let's take a look at it from his onboard. You can see the rear of the car just gets away from him, he clips a couple of barriers, and he gets launched into the air across the track and into the gravel trap, and that is going to be his race ruined. But the battle for the podium places was still ongoing. Langolat in the red Ferrari here is coming under pressure, and unfortunately he is going to lose out here. You can see them coming through the penultimate corner. He gets squeezed out onto the grass, but then look at that, he nearly takes Kirby with him, who's able to take the position just, although it is a fierce battle coming into the final corner. You can see he's got the inside line. Langolat loses out. But that means on the final lap of this race, I've got half a chance of catching the red Ferrari. So I'm going to be all out here on the final lap. We've got a gap of 2.2 seconds to make up. That gap was around 5.5–6 seconds earlier in the race. So we've been reeling this group in. Now, can I push just a little bit harder in this final lap and make up spaces, particularly if he has got a bit of damage? And already as we're coming up to the cutting, that gap now is down to 1.8 seconds. So we've made half a second in the first part of this lap. Can we close in any further as we're climbing the mountain? 1.7 seconds now then as we're coming up the hill and around the left-hander. Got to carry more speed than Langolat up ahead if I'm going to be able to close this gap and be in a good position on the Conrad straight. We're through Skyline then, it's down to 1.6 seconds. The gap is very slowly coming down. I'm a little bit tentative through the dipper. I didn't want to throw this away on the very last lap, even though I am pushing to try and close that gap in. It's still 1.8 seconds. Actually, it's extended slightly as we come through the final corner before our descent went down the mountain, and unfortunately we just weren't able to do it. We didn't have enough time. Langelat actually extended the gap back to 2.2 seconds for the checkered flag, so I have to settle for 5th position. But wow, what a great run here at Bathurst. 0x. I'll repeat that, 0x. No incident points, some really good overtakes, some good racing action, some pretty good judgment, I think, to be able to make my way through from 9th position up into 5th. If only I hadn't messed up my qualifying, I think I had decent enough pace to fight for a podium. But I'm happy enough with the race result, and if you've enjoyed this race, you might enjoy the brand new Formula 3 career that I've started on iRacing. Check out the video on screen.